Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In today's video, we'll learn about data migration project in Salesforce. And with this video, you will understand the step-by-step process to do the data migration. So, so you must have, struggled to explain some of the practical experience in your previous assignment and current assignment. And so data migration is the, you know, a common project or common assignment that most of the Salesforce implementation we perform data migration. So you can quote a data migration example when you are saying that this is the implementation that you have done in your previous and current assignment, whatever is the case. So what are the data migration projects? First of all, we will understand. So sometimes a company purchases data from the external companies, it can be lead data. They are purchasing in a bulk from different vendors. So it could be, that is a migration project. Can be, you can consider that is a migration project, and you're bringing the data into Salesforce. So when they are purchasing lead records, it could be in millions also, or it could be in 100K or 500K, so depending on the situation, right? And another example for data migration, and if a company were using some of the in-house application that they have developed, and but they want to retire that application and bring that application processes that they were managing through that application and the data, and bring everything into Salesforce. So so that is a data migration project for you. And as well as we'll be implementing all the automation processes that we have built in that old application. Will build the same functionality in Salesforce, or we might enhance some more features in Salesforce, so depending on the requirement, right? So but definitely we need to bring all the data from the existing application. So the challenges, why they want to retire that application, there will be challenges like they were struggling to maintain that in-house application that they have built like 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and they are using now Salesforce, and they want to bring that application information and the processes that they were doing into Salesforce, so that they can reduce some amount of maintenance cost uh, uh, when with this project. So that could be the data migration project. And another example, like sometimes company purchases another Salesforce instance, or a similar company, what the business they are doing, and they acquire some another company. So they might be using another Salesforce instance, or they might buy their Salesforce instance, or they might buy their application. So means uh, so when they are buying another company, so that's the same processes, the same business. So but some of the fields and the tables might be different. So but we want to the uh, bring the account and contact information. I'm just quoting an example here. So we can we need to migrate that data into our Salesforce instance, so that we can utilize the information that we have bought from other organization, right? So these are the the key accounts that we have bought from the other organization, so we'll be using in our main Salesforce instance. So that is the intention, right? And there could be many more examples, so I've just quoted a few examples here. So you can quote the same example when you're explaining about your data migration project in Salesforce. Or one more example, for any fresh implementation. And if company is implementing Salesforce as a fresh, and earlier, for them managing sales activities, they were doing some manual activities, or they were getting data through Excel, or they're using some other sources. So we want to consolidated all information into one platform, that is Salesforce. So whatever, if they're using manual sources, or manual or some other external application they were using, so definitely we'll have data that we want to migrate when we are implementing Salesforce. So that is another example of data migration, right, with the fresh implementation. So let's understand the step-by-step process to do the data migration, and this will help you to understand how you can uh, plan your data migration work, right? So first thing first, you will define the objective and scope. So objective and scope is very important. So scope, what data needs to be migrated. So first you will identify what are the the tables. When we are talking about objects are nothing but the tables in the Salesforce, right? So first we'll identify the objects, accounts, contacts, opportunity, custom objects. So whatever data we want to migrate into our Salesforce instance. And if we are building new application, then also we need to identify what are the uh, objects, custom objects we need to bring into our Salesforce instance, right? So then the current source system, so the current system or database from which the data will be migrated, like it could be Excel, SQL Server, Oracle, another CRM, or another external application, right? And the target system will, of course, will be Salesforce. So including specific objects and fields that we need to migrate into the target system. So key requirements will be here. So data mapping, transformation, and identifying the duplicates and validation, correct? So let's go and understand the planning work. Now we have to plan the migration. So first thing, data inventory. So identify all data sources and corresponding objects in Salesforce, and we determine the amount of data to be migrated. So what would be the number of records, file sizes, everything. So if so we'll plan migration phases. If the volume is large, we will plan it in an incremental way, like we plan the incremental migration. And then we come onto the timeline and tools. We establish the timelines for the extraction, transformation, and loading and testing, everything. So extraction is one activity, transformation is next activity, and then loading the data and then testing. And for this activity we need to identify tools also, what tools will be using to do this activity, whether we are using data loader, data import wizard, ETL tools, like that. Then we do the data assessment, like we check the quality of the data, we check the duplicates, inconsistency in the data format, incomplete data in the source system. And we do the field mapping. We map the source field to the Salesforce fields, and map customer name in, for example, map customer name in the source system to account or name in Salesforce. And we identify data relationship between objects, for example, accounts and contents, opportunities account. And we ensure parent records are migrated before the child records. So that those are the things that we need to ensure. And then we prepare Salesforce. We create object schema, ensure Salesforce object fields and relationship match the migration requirements. So if we do not have certain fields, we'll be creating fields in the Salesforce. And if the certain objects are not available, like custom objects, we'll be creating those custom objects and fields in the Salesforce instance, right? And validation, So will disable unnecessary validation rules, workflows, triggers temporarily to avoid interruptions. So basically, mm, if if the migration is on the accounts and contacts that we are already implemented, and we are bringing that data uh, from the external system, or right. So Mm, So for when we have to identify what are the validation tools we have written, what are the workflows, triggers. So when we'll be, when we'll be migrating the data, we'll make sure that these validation tools and workflows, deactivate them to avoid any disruptions, right? So sandbox setup, we use a sandbox for doing the test migration first before deploying the production. So basically that will ensure that we have migrated in a proper way in the sandbox environment. Once we make sure that our migrated data has come in the uh, as per the business requirement, then once we make sure that, then we migrate into production environment. So the next step is the data extraction, and then we have first we have to extract the data from the source system. We'll be using tools for that, and we ensure that extracted data is exported in the compatible format like CSV, Excel, or JSON, and then we do the data transformation. For this activity, we'll clean and standardize and prepare the extracted data for migration, and if there are any duplicates, we'll ensure that we remove the duplicate records from the uh, source files, right? And we ensure data matches like Salesforce field types, data pick list values. So we do the formatting and make sure that it matches the Salesforce field types, right? And data splitting, if the file size is large, we'll split the data into smaller sizes to make sure that we we will be able to migrate the data in a proper way, right? And example, uh, for the standardized phone number, so phone number field will be format is there, then we'll use the standardized format. And status field example, will map the status field, like if the status is active, we'll make sure that we'll give the value as 1, inactive for 0, like that. And for data loading, you'll choose a tool. We can use Salesforce data loader. As you know, it is ideal for bulk insert, update, upsert operation, and we can do a lot of other activities as well in data loader. And that require CSV files, and native tool that is available with the Salesforce's data import wizard, that is simple for smaller volumes of standard objects. And for complex transformation or large scale migration, we use ETL tools like Talent and MuleSoft. And then we load the data order for migration. So we have to determine the order of migration. Uh, we migrate the parent object first, then we migrate the child object. So in case of accounts and contacts, we'll be migrating the account records first, then the contacts. Then we perform data validation after loading. We'll be verifying the migrated data. We'll be verifying the record count, compare the number of records in Salesforce with the source system, and we validate that all fields are populated correctly. And we'll check the parent-child relationship is established properly or not. And we ensure that no duplicate records have generated in after migration, right? And validation tools will be using SQL queries, and we'll use SQL queries to validate data directly in Salesforce, right? And testing, we perform thorough testing in the sandbox environment first. before we migrate the data in production environment. So test scenarios could be create, read, update, delete, and parent-child relationship checks, and we'll make sure that workflow validation rule triggers are working properly once they are enabled right in the target system. And then we perform the final migration once we make sure that we have done the test of records in the sandbox environment properly, and then we migrate the final data set into the production environment. So we make sure that we take the backup existing in the Salesforce data. So if we are updating any existing records, we take the backup first, and we execute the final migration, ensuring minimal business disruption is there. We inform all the business user about the activity and validate the migration in production. So once we perform migration, then we'll be doing the validation as well. And post migration activities, once we completed the migration, we make sure that we re-enable the triggers and workflows, and um, if that some training is required, and we train end users on the migrated data and the processes, and we'll monitor the data for any discrepancy over the first few weeks. So basically, we keep some hypercare period to you know to assess any discrepancies are there or not after the post migration, right? And as already we have discussed, so tools for data migration. So we can use Salesforce native tool, that is a data import wizard. So it is you know uh, good for basic imports up to 50,000 records, and so data loader is for bulk operation or larger data sets. So we can do up to uh, uh, up to 5 million of records we can do through data loader, and we can perform all the it supports all objects, standard objects and custom objects, whereas data import wizard um, you know uh, we cannot export data through data import wizard, and it doesn't support all standard objects, like it doesn't support opportunity and solution object, and for basic import it is good, right? And we cannot save the mapping file, whereas we can save the mapping file in data loader. So that's the difference is there. You can always check which tool, but data loader is widely used uh, for data migration activity, and we can always use ETL tools. So where when the advanced transformation or migration is needed, so we can use ETL tools, and their third-party tools are also there, easy to use integration and migration tool, and data loader IO, that is a cloud-based alternative to Salesforce data loader, right? So with the help of tools, we don't have to worry about the relationship and how the order of migration will be determined by ETL tools. So especially if you are working with the CPQ implementation, and when you're working on the configuration, and when you have to migrate all your configuration changes, because all the migration the deployment from a sandbox to environment, we have to use some special tools also. So we have to consider some of the complex transformation, and for the deployment also we have to use certain specialized tool. So best practices, start with small, test a small subset of data before migrating the full data set, and we have to document the mapping. So maintain a detailed mapping document for the source to target. So we can use Excel for that, and we can use different tabs for account what are the different fields, and we can use the source and target field mapping there, and and we can use different tabs for different tables, accounts, contacts, and the related activities that are there if we want to bring, right? So backup of data, always backup source and target data before starting. As I said, communicate with stakeholders, business users, before performing any data migration activity, and all the team members should be informed about the activities that you are performing. Automate where possible, so use ETL for complex transformation to reduce manual errors. And here are some challenges that you might come across while doing the data migration. So data quality, so the duplicate is you is one thing. So you have to ensure that the duplicates are not getting generated after migration. So we have to clean the source file before migrating the data. And missing data or inconsistent formatting. So inconsistent formatting means we have to use uh, format for phone, format for states. So it should not be, if we are using abbreviation, so it should be abbreviation everywhere. If we are using full name, it should be full name. So whatever formatting we are using as per the business requirement, that has to be consistent along, uh, in each and every record, right? So volume limits, adhering to Salesforce API and storage limits, and relationship, migrating complex relationship between objects, and downtime, minimizing business impact during migration. So that concludes the video here, and please let me know if you have any question about the data migration, and I'll be happy to answer your question. And thanks for connecting with me. I'll catch you up in my next video.